Number one is the data persistence, which we talk about is if you look at the security of the assets currently, it is very easy for anyone to just, spoof the existing NFTs been minted and launch it on the other marketplaces. The third barrier is interoperability, which talks about the cross-chain NFTs, meaning that the NFTs been minted on Ethereum, how we can bring it to different chains like Solana, like Cosmos chain, like Persistence chain. And the fourth barrier is to very limited support. Currently, the market is entirely focused on arts and collectible use cases. So we just thought of, to be part of this excellent hackathon to challenge these issues, how we can overcome them and build the solutions on top of it. So the first use case which we gave to the participant was to create customized auction and selling mechanism for music NFTs. So this is a very simple application when we talk about building it on top of Asset Mantle or building it using the Persistence SDK. What we are trying to show here, or the objective of this application, is to look at the NFT beyond art and collectibles, try to get into the music streaming industries or music NFTs. You have your underlying asset as music NFTs, how you can create a bidding platform or auction and selling mechanism for it. Everything currently is already been implemented in the Asset Mantle SDK. All you have to do it very easily. It's a plug and play product, by the way. You just have to create what type of asset it is. So for instance, this one is music. So you just have to give your category, define how your asset is going to look, and invite the collaborators and contributors to mint their music NFTs on top of this platform. One additional, focus is going to be on the fractionalization of music NFTs, wherein we are talking about, let's say we have the multiple collaborators coming up and building up a music song or a music. And what we are trying to focus here is how we can incentivize each of those music artists using our Inter-NFT module. So what Inter-NFT module is, I'll be also talking about it in the later part. The second application which we are talking about is to building a mechanism to transfer Ethereum's NFTs. So this is what is the cross-chain NFTs which we are talking about. So you have, the NFTs on OpenSea, you have NFTs on Rarible, you have NFTs on Solana. How you can, build a platform or a mechanism, again using the Inter-NFT module, which supports this kind of mechanisms, to launch it or give them a wider range in terms of bringing it to Cosmos ecosystems. The SDK which we have built, Persistence SDK, already have the underlying modules required to build such mechanism. You just have to play around with it, build a solution which can govern you to kind of wrap the existing Ethereum NFTs and load it into the Cosmos ecosystem using Asset Mantle or the marketplace which you build on top of Asset Mantle. That's pretty much the gist about the second idea. The third one is focusing on the lending borrowing platform for NFTs. So currently what we see is the NFTs just keep lying in the wallets or in your collections. But the use case we are trying to focus is how you can use those NFTs as collateral to borrow the stable coins or ethers or any other native tokens which the platform supports. It's very similar to what we have, Aave protocol for the fungible tokens. So what we are looking at here is to building a lending borrowing protocol for non-fungible tokens. That's the just about the third idea. If we have any questions during my presentation, just hit me up. I'll definitely take it up. I don't want to be, a lecturer here. I just want it to be more interactive with the participants. If we have any questions, do stop me out. Yeah, that's pretty much about the idea which we are looking at. Now, the submission criteria definitely says that we are looking at the end-to-end implementation in terms of the price, which is going to be evaluated by us, which us, I mean the persistence team. And what we are going to look at is the feasibility study, the strategy, how you're trying to implement it, how the POC or the MVP has turned out of, and how you have built it on top of the existing products we have. That's the just about how the judging would work. But surely we would also look for some of the crazy hacks or ideas coming out of this hackathon, and how we can help them and provide them mentorship, infrastructure, guidance, and all the community outreach we have to build their product on top of persistence products. Yeah, just giving more details about what Asset Mantle is, and then I'll walk you through the demo which we have created, the marketplace which we have. Now, the barriers have already been discussed. So the solution is going to be Asset Mantle. Asset Mantle is just a minimal click of Persistence SDK. We have a very restricted or a very specific functionalities in Asset Mantle SDK built specifically for NFTs application. So imagine Asset Mantle as the Shopify for NFTs. What we are trying to provide here is for the creators and artists to build their own storefronts rather than just listing their arts on the existing Amazon, which is OpenSea in terms of NFTs. What we are trying to build is giving the creator community to just launch their own stores using a plug and play mechanism. It's for their own specific type of NFT assets. Let's say we are focusing on music. You use Asset Mantle to define your music NFT, launch your own store, and invite the community to bid or use this, consume this marketplace. Second benefit is to minting of interoperable NFTs. So the benefit here is that the inter NFT module which we have built is independent of the existing standards. It's not restricted to just follow, ERC 721, ERC 1155. The module which we have built is completely pluggable, modular, meaning that you can define your own standards on top of it. All you have to do is have a very specific interface of the inter NFT interface and just extend it to create your own standards on top of it. Although this also supports the existing standards as well. So Asset Mantle is going to provide the support for NFTs from various domains, be it arts, collectibles. We now have support for 3D arts, the tokenized assets. Commoditization has already been done. The Comdex platform, which we are talking of, it has already been in the process to build, applications like Comdex, where we are using real world NFTs as collateral to, lend and borrow the existing stable coins. And so some of the benefits why the participants can look for building on top of Asset Mantle is that you don't have to focus, just building a smart contract and, there is a marketplace already existing and you just deploy it. Here, what we are trying to do is make it as flexible as possible, as independent as possible, and to reduce the load on the on-chain protocols, meaning that the gas consumption when it comes to applications built on top of Ethereum is huge. And in case of Cosmos SDK or in case of Persistence SDK, the products built requires a minimal amount of gas to do the transactions. There is an huge amount of trusted execution here, meaning that you don't have the entire thing going on chain and being public to the network. It depends on your implementation, as I said, very flexible to provide the properties which are going to be on chain and off chain. You provide what properties you want to be permanent, meaning immutable, which cannot be edited, and mutable, which means that you can, in future case, can just try to edit those properties. So this native implementation supports everything which you require in terms of flexibility, independence, modularity, and a huge amount of transactional cost reduction when we built on top of Asset Mantle. So just to give you an overview about what the inter-NFT interface talks about and what are the core characteristics of it, I'm not going to get into much detail here, but just to give you an overview. So currently, most of the existing standards are ERC 721, 1155, and what we are trying to build using inter-NFT is, support a native standard for it rather than focusing on the existing ones. You of course have the support for the existing ones, but you can also build on top of build your own standards or build your own interfaces for using interchain NFT. And the core characteristics here are it's going to be a uniquely identifiable, so that it cannot be duplicated or copied without detection. So there is no forging of NFTs here. It's going to be persistent to not be reliant on the custodianship or continued operation of organizations. It's going to be cryptographically verifiable, so that we can prove that the resources are not being corrupted or modified or forged, and we have the right control over the authenticated resource identifiers. And it's going to be stateful to just provide a sequential order in what sense the metadata and resources underlying are being recorded, which can further be used for provenance and the relational integrity. These are some of the salient features. I've already talked about it. Not going to get into this detail, but would first show you the demo and then get into the developer docs, which talks about how to set it up and all. I hope that's okay. Cool. Yeah. So this is just one demo to show you what the marketplace named Asset Mantle looks like. So here, if you see, we have, I'll just walk you through this page first and then get into the details of functionalities. The assets basically shows you what are the different types of assets this current profile holds. So you sign up, you create your own identity, and you can log in with those with that identity. So inter-NFT module is in compliance with the DID standards. So the identity which you create, it would be used for logging into the platform or logging into the marketplace. Yeah, so if you look at the marketplace, it contains various types of assets here, just creating the basic ones to show how the marketplace looks like, how you can define your own assets here, and how to do buy and sell operations. Profile basically just shows what is the identity ID and what are the various addresses assigned to it. So the first step is you need to have the Kepler wallet with you, which is the extension to the existing browsers to use the Cosmos various networks, to connect to various Cosmos ecosystem networks. So you need to just set up Kepler here and sign up and log in using Kepler. Once you do that, you would be launched. I'm already logged in using the identity. So you'll be headed towards the marketplace page. Now, there are multiple operations which you can do, but I'll just walk you through how the flow should look like to use Asset Mantle first. So if you look at the actions, you see there are 4 options of define asset, mint asset, wrap, and unwrap. So when we look at define asset, what this category is talking about is what type of NFT this is, what type of asset this is. So it can be, a music NFT, it can be a 3D art, it can be collectibles, it can be just an identity. or it can just be, a JPEG or SVG art. So we just try to provide a lot of things here. So the classifier talks about how would you like to classify this NFT as. So if I put it here as images and identifier as sample identifier, just giving sample descriptions, what type of asset it is. So here so immutable type, meaning that we are just showing, is it an asset? Is it an identity? So if we look at, if it's an asset, we have to provide a lot of parameters here, which basically would define the structure of how your asset would look like. So you add some mutable traits. So these are nothing but the traits which you see in OpenSea. Here, what we are trying to do is keeping it as flexible as possible for the artist or for the existing creators to provide how their structure or schema of NFT should look like. So here we could just provide the sample data. I'm just going to provide it, and you can make it mutable, immutable. Just add the properties here. I'll just fill in this and you just submit. So here you have two options to do that. One is if you have the private key file, which is basically once you log in or sign up on the network, you would be provided by private key file. So we want to make it as secured as possible. So only the user with this private key or with the Kepler would be able to do the transaction. So if you see this, I approve the transaction. Once the wallet approves the transaction hash is generated, you can view the entire transaction there. But yeah, now once the asset has been defined, you could see it in the maintainers. So this maintainers page is nothing but the admin page in simpler terms, where you have your asset been defined. So the currently whatever I have been defined would be visible here, and you just have to look at the classification ID. So let's say if I take this classification ID and go to mint asset. So now once the structure has been defined, let's say you want to mint an asset of type the JPEG, which we currently did. We just provide the classification ID and the remaining parameters here, whatever you have been defining there. So you just have to provide everything here. Once that is done, you would be able to mint assets. I'm going to skip this because it requires a lot of data to be filled, but just giving you an overview about how the mint asset looks like. You can upload the traits, you can just put on the values, you can also provide the URI. Basically, URI can be a image address, it can be a music address, it can be anything here. Once you submit it, the marketplace would be able to see that. Now here, if you see, this is how the assets look like. Let's say if I have to buy this asset, you just have to provide the amount in which you want to buy and use the wallet for that. Yeah, so once I submit the transaction from the wallet, the transaction is successful and I would be able to buy it. And then it would be visible in my marketplace, in my assets, sorry. That's pretty much the gist about it. Now, once you have, assets been minted, assets been defined, what you also have to do is, let's say it goes into the order creation phase. So how your order should look like. You can also define the order page here. So let's say you want to show that it's an asset, similar to how we did to define an asset, you can define an order. But since I've already defined an order, you just have to look at the order ID. And whenever you are performing sell transaction, so let's say I am in my asset, I want to sell this particular NFT, you just have to provide the classification ID and the existing parameters here. So this is very important when it comes to for the artist to sell their existing NFTs. So here we can provide the denomination in what which they have to receive. So for instance, for this demo purpose, our denomination is stake. So we just provide it here, how the split is going to look like, how you want to expire this product in, let's say, next 100 days, 180 days. You just have to provide that. Most of the data would be automatically fetched. You just have to provide some of the meta properties here, and yeah, and once that is done, you can just submit it. Again, use Kepler to perform the transaction. Okay, I think this one has already been sold, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist about how you can sell it, how you can edit it, and how to use the asset mental marketplace for the demo or for building on top of it. This entire thing is public. It's been open sourced. You can definitely have a look at it. It's been built using the web app, which is a public repository. I've already shared a lot of talks and resources which talks about how to plug and play around this. And if you need the credentials to play around, the faucets to do, let me know. I'll provide you with it to just explore how asset mental functionalities look. And of course, we are always open for feedback. So if you have anything particular which you would like us to improve on, that would definitely be very helpful. Now,
I have a question with regard to the setup. You mentioned somewhere 3D.
yeah.
Can you show that again? I just somehow missed it.
Yeah, so when we are trying to define the asset, right, here we talk about the URI field. So this URI field is nothing but, the link address of your art. You can upload it to, so we also have the mechanism to upload it on IPFS. You get that URI and just paste it here. Once that URI has been pasted, you would be able to view that 3D asset here. And it's just about providing, once you create your art, just provide the URI here and it would be visible on the marketplace directly. That's the benefit we have. So we just need to define it here and the marketplace can directly fetch it.
I had on Monday, I had a guy who is already running a collection, kind of a GIF museum.
Okay.
And it's quite interesting. Is there, how could he tackle this? Also, is that, is there an application here where you can, I mean, it's a collection of
Yeah, we
GIFs.
can do that. We can do that. So if you see this wrap thing, right, what this wrap functionality is gonna do basically is we are very soon gonna modify this structure as well. Again, since this is still in development phase, there would be an option for you to mint the collection of NFTs. So if you are a creator, the maintainers, which is us as asset mental developers, the team would verify you as an creator and give you the rights to mint or launch your own collections of NFTs. That NFT collections can be music, can be 3D, can be, JPEGs, SVGs, it can be an identity, it can be a commoditized asset. It just depends on how you want to define that asset. We would give you the rights to mint the collections. If you have, if you could also share, with me personally, the details so that I could get in touch with him and could help him to walk through this platform and look for the possibilities to collaborate as well. That would be really great.
Yeah, that would be great. The maintainers section, that's quite interesting. I haven't seen that so far in a way.
Yeah, so what we are trying to do here, the reason we have beginners page is because we have observed that the existing marketplaces have turned into, a monopolistic marketplaces, meaning that the end users as creators don't have, a lot of control over how their data is going, or where their data is going, who is accessing it, who is trying to forge it, who is trying to spoof it. So what we are trying to do here is just giving those rights to the right person, right users, right admins, so that they can maintain how their marketplace should look like. So that's what we're trying to do here.
You mentioned entering some data, like for instance, you have a duration of 100 days, etc.
Yeah.
How can you manage this? Do you have a kind of a portfolio view?
Yeah. So the next feature. So if you look at this assets, basically
Yep.
the portfolio view of the assets you hold under your name, under this identity. So when we try to say that expiry period is this much, the next phase of our development is that we are going to show the profile and also the bits which have happened, number one. And number two is how many days left. We already have the data. It's just displaying it on the interface where we'll show that this is expiring in next 180 days. This offer is expiring in next 30 days. That's going to come for sure. We are just currently
Yep.
taking it and just displaying it over the marketplaces and the assets. So
Wow.
that's just the basic about it. If you see here, this all properties are currently been recorded, but we would definitely be, trying to make this UI much more interactive, much more easier and flexible for users to play around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give a hint to the hackers in a way that you say, listen, this is a territory we would be really crazy for us to, or maybe you have one or two hints where you could would be very welcome any input. I mean, I have seen you have these 4 territories,
Yeah.
but
So what
maybe
I
I
would
can give a
suggest,
hint.
yeah, sure. So what I would suggest is for anyone to start with, I'll share the link for this doc as well. Just go through the GitHub link, set up your own storefront. So if you see this asset Mantle repo, it directly have the steps I've already shared the developer docs as well, but I'll do it again. You just have to build, set up, and start. That's it. You have the transactions folder as well, which would walk you through all the functionalities
Yep.
which Mantle web app has. So if you look at web app, it's a very simple application. You just have to do npm install and npm start, and you are good to go directly. And to play around with this. So
Yeah.
you just have to focus more on what type of asset you're building, how you can restructure the existing asset Mantle SDK, and how you can build on top of it for your own asset. That's just the simple steps which you have to follow. That's the hint which I could give.
Yeah, fantastic. That sounds absolutely great. Let me check if there are any questions arising. I mean, it's quite a massive application, to be honest. It's really massive, and since you're serving multiple platforms, it's on the one hand very complex, on the other hand should give the end user this feeling of Shopify. That's
Yeah,
kind of the
that's
overall goal you have.
the goal to build the Shopify for NFTs so that this platform would gain a lot of adoptions in creators communities, which currently is not there because we have observed that there are a lot of barriers and loopholes, and what we want to do is give as much control to the creators as easy it can be for them to just go plug and play around their platform and launch their own stores. That's the aim of
Yeah.
top of asset Mantle.
Yeah, that sounds great. Absolutely.
Just for the last thing is I'll let this doc wherein we have the developer docs created as well for asset Mantle. And if you see here, it's very easy to just set up and start up. and do the transactions, which would help you to look at what are the various functionalities, understanding how the structure looks like, the common issues which we have faced, how the DApp looks like, how the SDK looks like, everything is been documented. So it would be very easy
It's
for
fantastic.
your developers to just jump on, or
Yeah.
any of hackers in this hackathon to start hacking on top of Asset Mantle.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Naman, for this fantastic explanation. It was quite fast, but I think at least we can look and explore it and etc. I mean, it's not possible just to learn that in a very fast
Yeah,
way.
that's why, I mean, I would recommend that the participants just focus on building on top of it. Just plug and play around the web app. That
Yeah.
would be easier for them to kickstart and focus more on ideation and strategizing and doing a good study on how to build on top of it, rather than looking at the underlying functionalities which are anyway been built. So it's just, beautifying the UI, coming up with an easier approach to defining what type of asset it is, and looking at how the maintenance logic works. Just try to expand on top of it.
Yeah, there are just 5 days to go now, and I would really recommend to look into that. And as you mentioned, it's not just about the big price of 50,000 K. There is also you have value also for any crazy idea, something like that, and is very welcome. And you definitely will come back with a price also on that. Okay. Thank you very much, Naman. That was a very great contribution. I haven't seen questions so far because it's quite a massive explanation in a way. And I believe they know how to look, where to look, what to do. And I believe the best is just to make your hands dirty, just go into and look at it.
Definitely. I'm open for any questions beyond this webinar as well. Just hit on the Discord channel. I'll take it up from there. I'll share all the I've already shared, but again, I'll share
Yep.
the for participants to just walk through.
So you have what is your name in the Discord? Can I, or maybe just go to? I believe it's okay to go in the persistence separate persistent channel, or that's okay. Then just ask questions there. It's very simple. Just go into the Discord of the hackathon, and then there is a challenge channel with persistence. I think that's what you look into. Right?
Yes.
Let me ask Daniela. Daniela, have you seen something?
No, I haven't seen, but I know that on Discord there are a few that are working on the challenge. So I know that if there are questions, they will probably reach out.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen too many projects yet, but I believe some are just in a secret mode working on it. I feel it because the price 50,000 is quite high. Yeah, let's